Hello everyone, this is Isaiah C. from the OutdoorExperiment.com, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a 2-point tactical sling. And that is a sling that's attached at 2 points of your rifle, the buttstock and the front typically, and it is tactical. It allows you to adjust it as you go. You could slide and adjust the length of the sling, and this gives you a lot of handy options. So let's get started on the video, and then we'll go over some of the other stuff in the end.
This first piece of fabric here is approximately 1.5 inches wide and about 14 inches long. This first step here, we're going to take a piece of nylon and we're going to fold the corners into the center, and that's going to create a stiff handle-like piece of fabric. The fold should extend about 8 to 9 inches or so, and then it should open up into a regular flat section of the fabric. As far as thread goes, we are using the heavy. It's called, the name brand is Dual Duty, and it's polyester, coated polyester, and that polyester is probably the best thread to use for this type of application. It helps if you use sewing pins. You can use paper clips, and this I'm using a paper clamp, so whatever it takes to hold that in place so that you could sew it properly. So now that we've sewn our edges in, what we're going to do is fold that section in half to about the middle where it begins to taper out. Now we're sewing the folded over edges. We're just going to go run down just a regular standard stitch, a straight stitch, and go up and down each side, and then in a couple seconds we're going to go across to hold those edges in. Remember to start and end every stitch with a back stitch. That way, if your thread pulls or something, it should prevent it from unraveling or pulling all the way out on you, and should keep everything together pretty well. Here we're going to place the thick portion or the wider portion of the handle that we just made into our glider, just like I'm showing you here. Now we have a handle on our glider. We're going to use this to slide and adjust our sling as we go. And what you're going to notice, what I'm showing you right here, is the stitching. And it's not very pretty, but it's very functional. The more time you spend getting the stitching nice and straight, the neater it's going to look. But to be honest with you, as far as function goes, it doesn't matter how neat it looks most of the time, as long as you start and end with the back stitches and you have the parts stitched thoroughly all the way across. And any parts that need extra strength, put extra stitching in there, go over it a couple of times, and you should be fine. This black strap here is your slider strap, and it's a section of nylon strap about 29 inches long, give or take, depending on the size of the person. Now this is the sliding portion of your strap, and it's important that this strap is a stiff piece of nylon strap. Nylon, because it's stiffer, polyester won't work, it'll jam up, it's too soft. You're going to want it to be the same thickness as your other strap, just for consistency, and so it fits in the tri-glider properly, just like the other pieces do. Here's this assembly so far. It's basically a glider with a strap and a handle on it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to attach a tri-glider onto the end of it. I prefer metal tri-gliders. This one happens to be stainless steel. And what you're going to need to do, this is a crucial part, so I'm going to go slow, and I'm going to show you how it's strung through properly. And the reason for that is because this is the crucial mechanical aspect of your 2-point sling. This is how you adjust it. So if you set it up, you'll probably have to pause the video a couple times just to get it right. But if you look at how it's done here, it's pretty simple. The metal tri-glider will attach to another section of strap, which goes towards the rear or the buttstock of your firearm. Now, before we move on to the next part, we're going to want to have something on our slider portion of the sling that will attach it to the front of a rifle. This HK style quick detach also happens to be the most expensive part, and I think it was about $5. I had to buy it at a military surplus. This next piece is a piece of elastic that we bought from Walmart, and we're going to use this to shroud the metallic pieces, the quick detach, so that it doesn't clink against your gun. Again, this is important so that you don't make a lot of noise, and when you're using your firearm for hunting, it's important that you don't have metal clinking against the side of your gun. It also should protect it to some degree from getting a bunch of dings and scratches. Now what we have here is the second portion of our sling, the part that's going to be primarily over your shoulder. It doesn't slide or adjust really, it just attaches to the rear buttstock and takes up about half of the length of your overall sling length. And this happens to be a piece of strap with some padding sewn onto it. It's off of a duffel bag, I think a US military issue clothing duffel bag, and it doesn't have to have padding on it. You could just use another section of nylon strap, but because we're going to put this on a heavier rifle, I decided to go ahead and use something that already has some padding attached to it. Basically, you're going to run one end of the strap through your metallic tri-glider and then sew it onto there like so. Overall length of this second portion of your sling is going to have to be again about 29 inches long, and that's including the shoulder strap portion with the padding. Now, since our shoulder strap wasn't quite long enough, we're going to add a section of more black nylon webbing, and that padded part of the shoulder strap should be right about where it hangs over your actual shoulder, to pad on your shoulder where most of the weight of the rifle is going to be. And then that black piece of webbing is going to extend towards the rear, and we're going to put an attachment on that goes to the buttstock. And again, this rear portion that attaches to the buttstock, basically all it is a piece of nylon strap folded in half, and then we sew it on a loop at the end of our 2-point sling or our second portion strap. The length of this piece of strap is approximately 6 inches. Once it's looped, it's more like 3, extending maybe 2.5 from the end of the sling. Now, once we have that loop at the end, we're starting to have what looks like almost finished or a finished 2-point sling.
Now that we're finished with the tactical sling here, I've attached it to a Remington 870 tactical type of shotgun. It's connected in the front with an eye bolt that I got from Home Depot. I had to put that on there because the eye bolt, this bottom part, wasn't going to work with that quick detach, and I don't really care for that bottom swivel anyways. So we got that side mounted here, and then we have it attached to the back with like a bra harness strap type mounting thing for the stock. I made this myself. I'd suggest you do the same thing. It's pretty simple if you look at it. It's basically sewn, a D-loop sewn onto the strap, sewn on the back, and then here's an adjustment to pull it tight so that it pulls back on that stock. It sits on there, and then you have a side mounting option for the stock. You can't drill a hole in the stock because it's hollow, so mounting a bolt or something or drilling a hole through it just isn't going to work like you think it is. So this is kind of one of your few options with these traditional style stocks. I'm not getting a new stock. I like these traditional style stocks, especially on shotguns or rifles. But anyways, if you want, I could demonstrate. It is relatively secure. I'm totally confident that this strap isn't going to break. It's not going to mess up. The one weak link on the whole 2-point sling is probably going to be the slider, because it's plastic and it's mechanically, it's a mechanical functioning device. And there's sometimes it could jam up a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't slide as well as it should, or it slides a little too easy, that type of thing. So that's probably the one weak point of any 2-point sling is going to be the slider. And I'm pretty confident it's strong enough it's not going to break for this application. But the one thing I would make sure that you do is spend some money on this, and they shouldn't be expensive. Even a good one should only cost a couple of bucks. The most expensive part, again, was this HK quick detach. That was $5. I think I paid like 99 cents for the slider, and then the strapping was only a couple cents a yard. So realistically, I have less than $10 in this sling, and it works just as good as this other sling. It works just as good as this BDS Tactical Gear sling. I purchased this one for about $20 on sale from BDS Tactical Gear, and there's their little label or tag or whatever. And the only difference between this sling and the one I just made, or the one we just made, is that it has a bungee in the rear. The bungee is largely unnecessary. I mean, it makes it a little bit more comfortable. It absorbs a little shock when you're moving around, but to be honest with you, it's totally unnecessary. And again, this sling Same dimensions, slides the same, everything's pretty much the same materials, different color because that's what I had available. And this sling is what we modeled it after, this BDS Tactical Gear or bdstactical.com 2-point sling. And it's real simple, and that's why I bought it in the first place. It was simple and inexpensive, but it's still $20 on sale. The MSRP on it right now I think is around 30 bucks, and for that price you could make three of the homemade ones, and have three of them instead of one. And anytime you could you know, do it yourself and get it cheaper and still do a good job, it's worth doing. So this works like it's supposed to, and so does our homemade 2-point sling. So I'm Isaiah C. From the outdoorexperiment.com, and if you want to visit my website, I'll put a link there. There's all kinds of cool stuff on my website, and I hope you like the video. Please leave as much feedback as you like, but be nice.